5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank you for allowing me to sit in on this today. Mr. Smith, thank you for being here. I know it's been a tough day. It's been a tough past couple of weeks. Appreciate you being here, and that's important. I'm not going to apologize for my colleagues and their questions and their aggressiveness, if you will, because, as you know, people are upset and they're mad. You get it and I get it. We all understand it. But nor am I going to pile on. So I want to kind of go a different route, if you will. One of the things that I've learned in the 2.5 years that I've been up here is to be very careful about my Southern phrases. But one of my Southern phrases has always been that, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I want to know what we can learn from this. Now, this is not the first time that a data breach has happened. Perhaps it's the biggest that's ever happened. But it's happened to other companies before. Now, to the extent that you weren't prepared for this or that it happened to you, and I hope that was not due to complacency. I hope it was not due to you not doing everything that you could to have prevented it. But my question is this. Can you share with us any information about the attackers? What do you know and what do you not know about them at this point?
Congressman, thank you for that. As I mentioned in my opening comments and my written testimony earlier this week, we've engaged the FBI, and they currently have the investigation in their hands. So at this juncture, we're not disclosing what we know about the hackers. How's
your cooperation with the FBI been? Is it your experience with them thus far been good? And anything that this is important. It's important for everyone. Yeah, everyone's upset, and rightfully so. They should be upset when your personal data is out there. Obviously, it's very upsetting. But I'm trying to go to in a different direction. I'm trying to figure out how we can prevent this from happening.
The cooperation with the FBI, as best I know, has been good. It's ongoing. We've got lines of communication into the FBI, not just after a breach, but routinely throughout the year. So I'd say it's been a very good cooperation, Congressman.
Let me ask you this. Through this scenario, through this experience, rather, if you had to do anything different, what would you have done?
Congressman, I was asked that question earlier, and my answer will be the same now as it was earlier. There'll be time for reflection, personally and as an organization. That coupled with investigation that we continue to undertake to look at processes in-house. But at this juncture, since I was notified in mid-August through this morning, it's all been about the forensics. It's been about trying to protect and do what's right for the consumer. And there's been no time to reflect on what I'd do differently.
Okay, well, when that time comes, we need to know, because we don't need to let this happen again, and other companies need to learn from it. This is obviously, as I said earlier, you're not the first company to suffer from this. You're not the first Georgia company to suffer from this. We understand that. Doesn't make it any less egregious to what has happened. But where I'm trying to go is, what can we do better to prevent this from happening again? These guys are good. We know that. Listen, cybersecurity is hard. It's way above my pay grade, I can tell you that.
Congressman, thank you for that. As I mentioned in my comments, I take full responsibility as CEO.
And I understand that, and I appreciate that.
If there's one thing I'd love to see this country think about is the concept of a Social Security number in this environment being private and secure. I think it's time as a country to think beyond that. What is a better way to identify consumers in our country in a very secure way? And I think that way is something different than an SSN, a date of birth, and a name.
Well, you're exactly right. I remember my time in the Georgia State Legislature when we changed you used to have your Social Security number in your driver's license. That used to be your driver's license number. And we changed, and that was not that long ago. And that's what tells me that this is something that is changing dramatically and quickly, and we need to be prepared for it. So I know that you're putting out fires right now, but at some point, we need to learn from this. We need to know, look, we shouldn't have done this, we should have done that. What could we have done differently? What will benefit another company to allow that this doesn't happen? And I hope, and thus far you appear to have been honest about all this. I hope that if part of what the problem was complacency, that you admit that and say, don't ever let your guard down.
Thank you, Congressman. I would love to be part of that dialogue about what lies ahead to protect individuals' identities.
Well, again, I want to thank you for being here, and it says a lot about you and about your company.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes